As your thoughts on the Patriots at this stage of NFL free agency, which for all intents and purposes is kind of over.
Can I snore?
And they sat it out. Yes, go ahead.
What did Mike Reese say? What? Again, how can you disagree with the general assessment of there was all this sort of hype with the new regime. There was Mayo saying they were going to burn some cash. There was
Elliot Wolf saying he's going to weaponize the offense.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. It's a Monday. I'm a little slow firing on the cylinders right now. So there was that. And then they came out and basically just kept some of the people they already had, let a couple of others go, signed a couple of scrubs, the latest being, and I say scrubs, what can I call filler or, decent players?
Middle class filler.
Yes. And I would add KJ Osborne to that list, by the way. When I watched him play with Minnesota, I liked him in the way I liked Kendrick Bourne when I watched him play with the Niners. Similar, to me, he's a guy who's a third receiver, and I'm not telling you, could he turn into something else? Sure, but I need to see it. But they have a bunch of guys like him already. So there's no high-end talent. There's no buzz. There's no real cornerstone. There aren't many guys I look at and say, well, that's a guy that's going to be part of their future for the next 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, whatever. Draw the line wherever you want. I just don't see those kinds of pieces here, which tells me that they're basically building a bridge team. And that is hard to get excited about. How do you get excited about a bridge team?
I got duped. I was yelling back at you early last week saying, and I still understand what they're trying to do and why they brought in someone like Jacoby Brissett to be their bridge quarterback and all that. And I think they are going to stay at 3 and take a rookie quarterback. But burn some cash, weaponize the offense. You're going to say those things? To me, it's no different than we're going full throttle. Football Red Sox. That's what they are right now. And the tipping point for me happened Friday night with Tyron Smith, the left tackle who was last with Dallas. The guy's a stud. You need a left tackle. You have money. Spend it.
Did you see his contract?
Yeah, it's like nothing. It's all incentive-based. It's a lot of Patriot guarantees in there by the New York Jets.
6.5.
I felt how Murray felt with the Justin Fields thing. Like he said Tyron Smith put him over the edge. To me, it was Justin Fields.
So Tyron Smith, 6.5, with playing time incentives that could take it to 20. And some of the playing time incentives it's a low threshold. So he's going to, make around 10 if he just plays what he has been, and could go up to 20. But certainly not a risky contract, because if he plays that amount, he's going to be worth that amount. So good.
He hasn't played 16 games since the Obama administration. But either way, if you follow, like we often do on the show, if you follow the PFF metrics to benefit your argument, do this with this guy. He's the best left tackle in football.
But the contract, Murray, protects the team. It's a team-friendly contract.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't play a full slate, the team doesn't have to pay for it, which should be right up your alley. So whether it was Tyron Smith for $6.5 million guaranteed, or Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick in 2025 that could go to a 4th if he plays over half the snaps this year, there was a tipping point there. Or Keenan Allen going to the Bears for a 4th-round pick?
Yeah.
So, there's been a couple there that you just say, oh, the Pats aren't doing anything. They were never really going to do anything. And, boy, do they look. It's a bad look. It's not just Elliot Wolf saying weaponize the offense. He was asked that at the Indianapolis Combine. I believe that's where that was from. So that's really a draft conversation. So if he's talking about doing that in the draft, he's got an out. But the team, Kraft, mentions the cap space, or has been mentioning the cap space at every turn. Mm-hmm. And the whole tonality coming out of the offseason, letting go of Bill Belichick, going with Gerard Mayo, resetting the franchise, the whole tonality was, look at the position we're in. Draft picks, cap space, draft picks, cap space. And then they totally punt on the cap space. They totally punt on free agency. That is a bait and switch. They pulled the rug out from underneath you. And I don't blame you for feeling that way.
I mean, again, and to your point, there were some good deals to be had in this market. When you look at what some of the guys were traded for and what some of the guys signed for, they were not astronomical dollars.
There's some good team-friendly deals out there. And good, value. Keenan Allen for a 4th-round pick.
And, Mike, even Calvin Ridley It was not a $32 million contract or whatever.
It was not a market-setting deal, no.
No, so it was, now look, was it a lot of money for a wide receiver? Yeah, but it wasn't record-breaking money for a wide receiver.
They also have it. That's the thing.
Right.
So as the wide receivers started to come off the board as the week went on, I'm like, well, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Again, the left tackle thing Friday night, I'm like, well, come on, guys. Like, you need help at these positions. There's a guy there that can help you. You don't want to pay for it? Come on.
I just don't see the justification. I see the justification, for example, if they didn't want to trade high draft picks. Okay, you're building through the draft. No problem. I wouldn't expect you to do that. There's justification. You want to build through the draft. Fine, you should build through the draft. Obviously, like, I get frustrated. Well, don't you want to build through the draft? That's the way you do it. Duh! Like, who would ever argue against that? Of course you have to draft well. Like, that's no revelation. And building purely through free agency rarely works in any sport. We got it. Why would anyone even discuss that? They're like, got it. Okay, you have to build through the draft. In the meantime, while you're building through the draft, you can't help your team in the short term to win games, build your program, maintain the faith of your fans, maintain the faith of the players in your locker room, build confidence in your coach, build confidence in your direction. Like, what? Since when does it have to be one or the other? We're just going to go to the bottom, build purely through the draft, and not bother trying to make the team better in the here and now with free agent signings, even though we have the money. I hate that approach. So, boy, you better have a good draft. They better be able to play right away.
Well, they're putting a lot on it.
Or here comes 3-14, and now everyone's looking sideways at your coach. Everyone's looking sideways at your drafting. And, Jesus, maybe you can get away with that in Green Bay, even though that never really happened in these 30 years. They never really bottomed out like that. They had 1 4-win season, I think, in the last 30 years, something like that. But you might be able to get away with that in a smaller market, a more forgiving fan base. Oh, a team without an owner? Like, there's a little bit of different circumstances out there than here. So you're just going to draft. You're going to play young kids, and that's how you're going to go. You're going to suck if you do that. And if you got the patience to wait it out, great. Does this market have a lot of patience?
No.
No.
Not historically.
I mean, and why should we? We shouldn't have. This isn't a college program. This is the NFL. You're used to a certain level of excellence. The franchise sure talks like their crap doesn't stink, and we got the answers. If your answer is just to suck and draft, I don't want to hear about all your business principles and all the successful methods that you use. Yeah, that doesn't take anything. Anyone can just suck and draft. You can hire me. We can figure that out.
Oh, I can help them suck.
That's not a problem. I won't spend a dime. I'll just turn it over to the personnel guy. They'll just draft. We'll suck. We'll draft. We'll suck. What does that take? I'll put my feet up. Yeah, we'll just keep drafting. Yeah, we suck. But, hey, we have to build through the draft. It has to be a patient process. Well, what does that take? There is a way to middle that and to help your team in the here and now and start to build something with wins and losses and your product and draft. You could do that, but that costs money, or that costs a little outside-the-box thinking. It costs extending yourself a little bit, and the team's not willing to do it, and that's still my main point, Mazz. They don't understand how bad it is, how bad they are. They don't understand how much help they need. And I've been trying to tell you this. I told you this for years, that the contract stuff wasn't just Belichick. It by a long shot, it wasn't just Belichick. Now, who's ever doing the contracts, Jonathan Kraft, Robin Glazer, I don't know, whoever, they are going to be no more prone to sign a bad deal than they were before. And most free agent deals are bad deals, even though the ones we just talked about weren't even that bad. But the Calvin Ridley one, they have a line, 22. We're not going above it. We've set the value. That's what it is. Oh, okay. At 4-13 and you needing to pay extra to get people here. I don't think they realize it yet.
No, they definitely don't realize it, no. And again, as you talk about setting the limit and not going over, I'm thinking that's the kind of crap that Chaim Bloom pulled. Let me put this is I'm going to be disciplined about it. In the real world, when there's a bidding war, then what? Do you want the player or not? Sometimes you got to take a little risk. And the alarming part about this offseason, which you touched on, it really wasn't much risk. That's the part that's most alarming. If some of these deals were outrageous, you could say, well, I'm not giving Calvin Ridley $35 million a year. I get that. Like, that's a lot. He's a $22 million receiver, but he got $22 million.
He's, we got paid like the 10th highest paid guy in the league right now. In short order, he'll be in the top 20. So that wasn't even that bad. Never mind if you wanted to dip your toes in the running back market, there was value there. But they just, it takes money, and it takes a little bit of bold thinking. It's easy. We're just going to sit back and draft? Any crap bag team can do that and just sit back and collect the TV money and tell your fans it's a process. Who can't do that? Congratulations, you're the Clippers. Or some other suck bag team. Name the sport. We're just going to sit back and draft. Neat. Okay. So underwhelming, disappointing. And oh, by the way, now they better nail the draft. I'll tell you what. I don't think the Packers have drafted nearly as well as some of their people think, or Bedard thinks, or these guys think. They've done great at the quarterback position, 100%. That's what I've shoved down your throat. The rest of it, the drafting, it's okay. It's pretty good. It's all right. Without the quarterback, you better draft better than that. If that franchise didn't have the quarterbacks nailed down, no one would look at them and go, wow, look at that drafting. So that's where we're starting. I don't know anyone would be particularly happy with what's going on so far this offseason.